All right. So, hello, everybody. This week, y'all watched the Klingon the Easy-ish Way lesson number 4. Continued to work on memorizing vocabulary from the first 3 lessons. Continued to use memorize every day, or I say memorize because I think it's really effective. But whatever note cards work for you, I think my goal is for y'all to at least have all of the KLCP 1 vocab down. And so why I suggested memorize is because they have a course that has specifically all of those vocabulary words in them. But if you want to use your own flashcards, that's fine. And even when I sent out the homework for next week, I could actually include a link to the list of KLCP words, if that's something that y'all want.
Yes, I would like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to say this, the thing about that link that I'm going to send is, for whatever reason, they only have the English. So you have to look up what the translations are. So it's just a bit of extra work. But if that doesn't bother y'all, then that could actually be a good exercise. Cool. So let's talk about, and then the last piece of that is that y'all went into the Pakyav, which is the first book of the Pakbak, and you translated it from the Klingon into English, and then checked your work doing that. So I'm just going to read aloud what it is. So it says, Kla juchchajvo ket lodnitu tachchach chud kijdak ket ret chechaj bot chishtak. So, did anybody have any particular difficulties with this? Was it pretty straightforward? Thinking of the things that we've already covered in terms of like word order, where to use doc and vote.
I had one question about the doc.
Yeah.
So the line is chud kijdak.
Yes.
And I initially translated that as they were running to the Black Hills.
Uh-huh.
Whereas the translation is they're running over the Black Hills.
Uh-huh.
Is that part of the general vagueness inherent in Klingon, or is that like a mistranslation?
No, that's a correct way to translate it. I think I would understand if that's what you meant by it. But that would not be the way to say I ran to something.
Okay.
I made it in the Black Hills.
Well, yeah. So the way that it works in Klingon is that a lot of motion verbs. So to go, to approach. So jach, rosh. Excuse me, I got a message. Jach, rosh, pau, which means to arrive. Kled, to depart, so on and so forth. They take the object, they take whatever the destination is as the object. And so to go somewhere is transitive in Klingon. So I go to the bathroom, I go to the bathroom. So the bathroom is the object, vi, which is the verb prefix, which y'all read about this week. And jach, to go. So if you want to say they ran to the Black Hill, then you would say chudkij lujach ket tachbish. They went to the Black Hill while running. And dak would mean that it was happening already at the Black Hill, which is the case here.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions about this?
Again, how would it be? Chudkij dak. How was it? You said it quite quickly.
I'm sorry.
Repeat
Say that again.
The way to say that while they were running. How can you say it again?
Oh, yeah. So chud kij lujach het tach vish.
Okay, thanks.
Het, run, tach vish, while they were running. Yeah. So we're gonna go over the first part of chapter 4 of the Klingon dictionary. But before we did that, and we're not going to go into as much depth, I think, as we did last week for the noun suffixes, because I think y'all kind of, you're more advanced than just completely beginners, and so I think you get it. And just the thing about those suffixes is you just got to use them all the time. So come up with phrases where you can use multiple, even all of them in the same phrase, and just practice them. And then it'll become like second nature, So we're going to do that. But first, I just thought it would be a good idea to, somebody driving with really loud music outside my window, to go over some sort of basic phrases, because I realize it's not something that we've done thus far, and also we've sort of gone over a lot of grammar, but we haven't really talked about things that you would say immediately coming into contact with somebody and speaking Klingon with them. So I'm going to share my screen with y'all. Give me a second, and we're going to do the whiteboard thing. Woo. Alrighty. So, try and move this. There we go. Does everybody know a little bit about how to sort of exchange pleasantries, for lack of a better term, in Klingon? Like, what do you say when? And I'm not going to get into the fiction of the Klingons. We all know it's fictitious. So I'm going to give you real life world examples. So when you go to like a Klingon meeting, so like the Qapla, or the Qapla, or a Qapla, wherever that may be, what are the first things that you say to somebody? Does anybody know some words that you would say, some things that you would, some questions that you might ask?
Nuknek?
That's the only one I know.
All right, okay. Nuknek. And notice I've put a question mark here because it is always a question. It is never just hello. It is that is not what it equals. It equals does not equal hello. Yeah. It means,
what do you want?
I've seen newbies join a conversation and introduce themselves with Nuknek.
Yeah, they'll say Nuknek, whatever, James Jech, and or
they did that in DS9 too.
Yeah, so it's Nuknek, right? That's the way you enter a conversation. But even that, don't get into the habit of starting off with Nuknek. The best habit that you can develop as a Klingon speaker is to simply launch into what you want, into what you're talking about, because there is no word for hello.
I'm like that in real life. I got yelled at by my boss because when I came to work, I wouldn't say, hello, how are you, and stuff like that. I would just get to work.
You would thrive on Kronos. So the first thing that you might say, if it's a stranger, is my name, or you might ask what your name, what is your name? So what is,
so if is who are you, but what is your name is different.
Yes.
So that would be what are you called or is there an actual word for name?
There's a word for name. Yeah.
Ah,
Well, there's a word. There are two words actually. So we have a noun, and we have.
oh, that's right.
My mind thought verb, and then I wrote
Verb.
or wote.
Verb.
Verb. That's my Klingon brain taking over. So the word pong as a noun means name.
Yes.
And as verb,
Yeah, I remember now.
it means to name something. So puklod wit vipong. I name my son. So on and so forth. So the common way to say what is your name is nuk och pong lij at. Right? Now we've got our pronoun, right, that we went over last time. So och is it is, or it, right?
Mhm.
It is.
Pong means name. What does lij mean again?
Your
Your singular or your plural?
singular.
And can somebody, can you tell me what at does here?
Well, I don't remember the proper grammar term, but it's about your name. What is it? Like
Yeah.
the is like about, but I don't remember what is the correct grammar term.
Topicalizer?
Yeah, topicalizer.
Yeah, thank you. Right. Yeah.
So really the way to think about it is we're asking nuk, right? Nuk means what?
What?
Oh, there we go. So nuk och, this is our original phrase.
Right. What is it?
It. And remember, oh, the pronouns double as the word to be. There is no word for to be in Klingon, but the pronouns can act in that way.
Shakespeare notwithstanding.
Yeah. How did that happen?
So what it is, and then you bring in what it is, right? So your name. What
Yeah,
it is,
I would,
as for your name. Right?
my brain translate that as your name. What is it?
Yeah.
Your name is what?
Right. And this rings true for all copuli. So things that are other things, right? So head. Let's think here.
Basically, whenever you're relating two nouns with no verb.
Head at. Biology. So life science. Och, it is. Head. Biology is a science.
I can usually remember to do that because one of the first phrases that I memorized back in the 90s was "Nuktak oh puchpa et."
Yeah, that's another good example. So there we go. So Nachbek och Mona Lisa et. The Mona Lisa is a painting. It is a flat rock.
I was going to ask how stone got in there.
Nachbek is something akin to a painting.
The origins of painting apparently were on rock.
And so on and so forth. Okay.
Like lithographs.
You know how to say,
writing.
What's that?
Like our lithographs, that means stone writing, but it's never on stone these days.
Yeah. So what is your name? We've done. So what's the response to that?
My name is such and such. So Yodkar och Hongwij et.
There you go. Yep. You put your name, X, och, it is, and then your name, Pongwij et. So I would say, Deshtuk och Pongwij et. Kheb o, you would say, Kheb o jich Pongwij et. And so on and so forth, you know? So just insert here and then och Pongwij et. Och Pongwij et.
Why
Why
did you
is
use jich in the last one?
Oh, excuse me. Because I was thinking ahead.
Oh, okay.
The other way to say this, which is what my mind got to before I could start, is jich. So you could say, deshdu jich.
I am Gashdu.
I am deshdu, right? So it's not my name is, it is I am. So it's just a different way of saying the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to go in a round, and I'm going to ask all of you, nuk och punglech at, and you'll respond to me, hamana hamana och punglech at, or jich. Okay?
You're going to say, Yod Targ, what is your name? And then I'm going to say, my name is Yod Targ.
Yeah, something like that. If we were in a room together, I would just point at you, but we're not in a room together, unfortunately. So,
assign us numbers.
and I'm going to use silly, because this is a silly exercise, I'm going to use two phrases here that are going to be part of the fiction, jilij and jakau. Oh.
I hate sans serif fonts for Klingon. I wish they wouldn't
Oh.
use that in
I
the...
love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Let me
I've
see if I
seen
can-
people try to translate Klingon, and they wind up with 3 L's in a row.
Unfortunately, I don't think I can change the font, so I'm
They're
really
different
sorry.
heights.
But it's a little bit of a groaner for words like jilid,
Yeah.
where there's an I and an L and then an I again.
You can see there's like 1 pixel width difference.
Yeah, they're different heights.
1 pixel width, yeah.
So anyway, but we have the word jilij. What is jilij?
I forgot.
Yeah, I forgot. Or I forget, or I will forget, right? Because Klingon doesn't have tense. And then jakau.
I remember.
Yeah, exact opposite. So, Qebo, jilij, nuk och punglij a.
Heb all of van which app.
Ah, match. Tiago, jilij, nuk och punglij a.
Thiago och Ponwich F.
Match crap, right?
Right, Jich.
Oh, match, dag jakau. Hatlo. Dotval. Ponglij kauwenech at jilij, nuk och punglij a.
Doval, oh, Pongridge Edge. Yeah.
Yajashka. Say it again.
Doval, oh, Pongridge Edge. Podwidge Edge. No, my tongue is not working today.
It's okay. So dotval.
You can type it. That's
Oh.
my problem.
Yeah, here, just say it with me. Dotval.
Doval,
Och.
och,
Och.
och,
Och.
och,
There you go. Pongwidge.
Pongwidge.
Dotval. Och. Pongwidge.
Doval, och, Pongwidge.
Maj kra. Yodtar. Jakosh. Shochva jijat at pai. Ponglij village. Nuk och ponglij
Yod Targ och Pongwich.
Oh, Maj. Edge, toch, shoch, roll daraj, nekrat daraj, nuk och ponglij roll, nekrat. Scott, Robert.
Pardon? I am lost. Or I don't know how to say it. Nukjat.
Pong muj below. I used the wrong name. Gatnebach, nuk och ponglij
Atbach, och, Pongridge.
Maj kra. Doing cool. Maj kra, everybody. Cool. So now we have learned how to say nuk och ponglij and hamana och pongwich and just get used to get into the rhythm of that. Okay. Does anybody know how to say this in Klingon?
Oh,
I Didn't think they said that.
They don't. However, as Rightlit points out, there is a word in Klingon, and much like Pong, it has two different forms, a noun form and a verb form. So the noun, it means appreciation, gratitude, and as a verb, it means to thank.
Troll.
So some people, a lot of them beginners will say "haklo" a lot, which means thank you. A Klingon would not say this as often as a lot of people use it. And the more you get into Klingon, the less and less you'll find yourself using this, or at least you should. So ka, as we learned through this week's reading of the first 3 sections of chapter 4, is a verbal prefix, and it denotes the subject and the object, and sometimes the indirect object, as we discussed. And the subject is I, the object is you. Okay. And then cho, thank. So literally, I, you, thank. Okay. Use this verb sparingly. So if somebody does you a huge service, that is an appropriate, and you like owe them something, kaklo, or you want to demonstrate thankfulness or gratitude to them, you can use this.
But not if they hand you a cup of naran vichor.
Right. That's not something that would necessarily, that would not be something that you would say kaklo for. However, there is this word all of in itself. And when used in real world Klingon circles, you can use it in that way. Now, this is a bit cheating. It's sort of like a calc from English, German, whatever, into Klingon. So if somebody hands you, a glass of orange juice or holds the door for you, you can tell them "klo," right? So this just means thanks. And why it doesn't have a verbal prefix here is because we're using something called pod, so clipped Klingon. So we're cutting off the verbal prefix, is what's happening here. Much as in English, for thanks, you cut off thank you, right? Or you cut off the you and you make it plural, thanks. I give many thanks to you. I show you many thanks, whatever. So it's kind of the same thing happening here. Again, this is not something that in universe would be said. However, real world Klingon speakers say this when they get together. And you might even see, thanks a lot, right? So ku is that it's an emphatic suffix, right? So ku, oh, thanks a lot, right?
Okay, I would have thought that was a weird use, but the book says clipped Klingon is used quite extensively in all walks of Klingon life. So I guess it does make sense.
Yeah. Okay. So does anybody want to sort of just demonstrate saying "klo" and "kloku"? All
right.
Kloku.
Maj kha. Klo. Yodtar.
No.
Maj, right lit.
Tro, edge, troku.
Val.
Cloak.
Say that first one again.
Cloak.
Oh. You gotta sneaking in there instead of kagwit. So it's a klo.
Cloak.
There you go. And
Cloku.
choku.
Cloku.
There you go. Chiaga.
Kloku.
Maj kha. Khapdebach.
Cloku.
Maj edge klo. Maj. All right. Next. Loch. Klingon hol v'jat. Everybody know what this means?
I don't know the first word.
Loch.
A bit.
An
A little,
adverbial.
a bit. Yeah, it's an adverbial. Yeah. Little, a bit, some.
I speak a little bit of Klingon.
Yeah, I speak a little bit of Klingon. Loch. Klingon hol v'jat. V'jat.
Omni.
That. Ach. Loch. Loch. Klingon hol v'jat. Loch. Loch.
Yeah, whenever somebody finds out I speak Klingon, I always say Klingon ho gajat, and then I tell them what I asked them and what their answer should be.
Yeah. So the question, as you point out, that would prompt this might be Klingon hol dajat, and you might encounter this when you walk in through the door, or if you're, I don't know, you're in an airport or a restaurant and you see somebody reading the Klingon dictionary or the Klingon Hamlet, and you could go over and you could say Klingon hol dajat, and then their response might be Chiago.
Loch Klingon hol v'jat.
Madge, right lit.
Loch Klingon hol v'jat.
Madge, Qapla.
Loch Klingon hol v'jat.
Madge, Yotar.
Loch Klingon ho v'jat.
Madge, Rukval.
Loch Klingon hol v'jat.
It's really, your mouth is really closed right now. So if
Yeah.
you're trying to pronounce everything the way that you are, then I would be having a hard time. So try to open up your mouth a little bit. I mean, like, look at when I'm speaking Klingon, my mouth gets really wide, and I have to move my mouth around a lot to get it. I mean, even when I'm doing speaking English, that's how my mouth works. But I have to really open my mouth a lot to get all of my mouth into the positions that it needs to be in order to say these things. So I say Klingon hol dajat, and the response is Loch Klingon hol v'jat. So try just opening your mouth a little bit wider and really stretching the muscles.
Loch Klingon hol v'jat.
Madge! Nivku! That was a lot better. Awesome. Let's see, who haven't I called on? Krebo! Klingon hol dajat.
Loch Klingon hol v'jat.
Madge. And once you get better, you can say, well, I think all y'all are really awesome right now. But if you feel that you don't speak Loch anymore, if you don't speak a little bit anymore, you can say Klingon hol v'jat, right? Or you can just answer with these, right? Chjat and chishlach, which mean
Yes.
yes. They both mean yes. And can anybody tell me how they are different?
Did one of the actors flub the lines?
I believe that is the origin, yes.
Ishla is a more of a statement than hijat.
Nope, they're exactly the same.
Okay.
Exactly.
But I mean, isn't it more emphatic?
Nope.
Oh.
Is one a dialectical?
Nope. It's
Huh?
exactly the same.
All right.
It is
You
a
stumped us.
question. It is a question of taste. Which one do you prefer to use? And just a quick note on your pronunciation. The way that you said it was this way, which is a completely valid way of pronouncing it. However, know that this is the Morskan pronunciation of the word chishla, and Morskan is dialect of Klingon. So unless you're speaking only that dialect, then chishlach. Right?
Shlach.
So what does the pronunciation of that word tell you about somebody?
About whether or not they choose chijat or chishlach.
Yes. Does it indicate something about them in general, or is it only specific to that one word?
What I will say is that chijat is the more common of the two. You will come across this way more. And there are a couple of words like this in Klingon, right? So chijat, chishlach is one of these pairs where There are two words, but one is favored over the other for whatever reason. It's just the way it is. And most people, including myself, tend to say hijab.
So do I, but Duolingo always uses hishlach.
And I think the reason behind this is there are a couple of people who prefer hishlach. And one of the people that I think of when I think of people who like hishlach and who I think of like use it more than most people, I use it from time to time, but not that often, is John Shi, who is one of the people who designed the course. And he likes hishlach. So yeah.
I prefer it because it's easier for me to remember.
Yeah, and some people like it for that reason. Yeah. So it's just a question of taste. Anyway, but there are a couple of more of these pairs. So we have vodlech and ta, which are both words that mean king, emperor. More specifically, it means emperor, but I think it works for king as well. I'm trying to think of another one. There are a couple of other ones.
Lord and lady.
Where vodlech is the more common one, but you do see ta from time to time. Sorry.
I'm sure the movie would be Kong Ta and not Kong Vodlech.
Yeah, and I almost see it. I almost see ta a lot when the meaning is king rather than emperor. That's not an official thing, but I do see that it's kind of a pattern, I think, among speakers of the language. Again, this is not canonical, and I don't want to get in trouble by telling y'all wrong information, but this is something that I've noticed. Riley, what was it that you said?
Zhao and Zhou.
Yeah, for sure. Zhao and Zhou, both of these things mean Lord, right? So in Klingon, in Star Trek 3, they keep on, Maltz and Torg keep on calling their Krul, played by, what's his name?
You want the actor?
Yeah, the actor.
Christopher Lloyd.
That's his name. Christopher. I think it was Christopher. I couldn't remember his last name. Christopher Lloyd. They keep on calling him Zhou, my lord. And then Zhao also means lord, and it's another result of an actor flubbing their line and saying it wrong. So they were supposed to say Zhou, but they said Zhao, I think. So it's just one of those examples. So anyway, Klingon hol dajat a.
Lok Dajak.
Oh, much. Cool. And then when you get to be really skilled, you can say Klingon hol dajat pojich. I am a skilled Klingon speaker. So remember, we got that that nominal suffix wit, which turns a verb into
Noun.
a noun.
A doer the noun.
Doer.
Or doer the verb.
And then po is a stative verb, which I'll make a note that we cover today. Stative.
Is there anybody who can say Klingon hol jat chu?
Yeah. So you could say Klingon hol vijat.
Or sorry, I left out the prefix. Vijat chu.
Yeah. Klingon hol vijat chu. I am fluent in Klingon. I speak Klingon perfectly. Which of course is, nobody speaks it perfectly, but to say Klingon hol vijat chu sort of implies that you are a very skilled speaker. You don't have to think about prefixes or suffixes or vocabulary all that much. There's no pressure to be perfect, but basically means that you're fluent. You don't need to think about it while you're speaking all that much.
Back in the 90s, my friend would tell people that they spoke Klingon fluently. And are you crazy? I have a small vocabulary and a basic grasp of grammar. That's not fluency.
Yeah.
I get the same. I get the same comments.
All right, so we have another term that you could say if you wanted to say lok Klingon hol vijat. If you don't want to say that, you could say tarwit jich. So we got this again. So it's a doer of something, and then jich, I am. So tar means
Lung.
when it's a noun, yes, but when it's a verb.
Well, lung wi is a noun.
It could
Say I'm
my
I
lung.
am my lung.
I am my lung.
it could be interpreted as my lung capable of speech. However, don't think
Begin.
of context. Yes, begin. So tar equals begin or start. So a tarwit is
Beginner.
beginner, right? So tarwitjich, I am a beginner. And then another great useful word that you probably will need if you're, starting out and you're at a convention, or you're just in, a conversation with somebody in Klingon. You could ask them, they use a word that you don't know, so they'll say tukhomerach och dochvet at, right? So that thing, so thing, doch, vet, that, at, topicalizer. So as for that thing, och, it is tukhomerach. It's a piece of junk. It's a useless thing, right? This is one word. And then you don't understand. You're like, nuk osh. What does that mean, right? Nuk osh. What does it mean? Right? If you want to be more specific, you could say nuk osh mukvet at, which means.
What word is that?
Yeah. What does that word mean? What does that word mean? I mean, literally, what you're saying though. So we have this verb osh, which means what?
Does that mean to me?
Yeah, I mean, unofficially, that's sort of what it's taken on, but and that's the common way to say mean. But what it really means is represent. What does that represent? So when you're saying nuk osh, what does it mean? You're really saying, what does that represent? So we have, Toduj osh rol, which is this Klingon proverb, which means a beard means courage, right? And it's that same thing. So if you were speaking with somebody and they said, "Tukhomerach och dochvet," you didn't know what tukhomerach meant, then you could say, "Nukosh, nukosh mukvet," and then they would say, "Oh, piece of junk, osh," or useless thing, useless.
I would just say nukjat from conversational Klingon.
You could say nukjat, and that's another thing, but it's a little different. Nukjat is,
Huh?
Yeah, nukjat. And it's this compound between the word nuk, which we've already seen today, which is,
Say what?
it is,
What?
and jat, which means
Speak.
to speak. Right. So, and this is not a something that you can do all the time. Like you couldn't say nuclear. Oh, whoops, daisy. Nuclear. Like, what do you see? Right. You couldn't say that. But nukjat is like this fossilized thing, so you can say it. But that's a bit different, right? If you were to say to me nukjat, I might think that you didn't understand what the phrase was, but it might be equally possible that I understand your meaning to be you just didn't hear what I said, and then I'll say it again, and then you'd be like nukjat, and then I might understand. Oh, you don't understand what the word is. Okay. Useless thing.
Okay.
Osh. X osh. Mukvet. Cool. All right. Now
Could you just say jiyajbet?
you can say jiajbat. Yeah. You can say that. Okay, so the conversation has come to a close, and it's time to say your adieus. How do you do that in Klingon?
You walk away.
Absolutely. That is the best way. That is the best way to end a conversation in Klingon. Just don't say anything at all. So yeah, that's the best way to end it. However, if you're like me, you are accustomed to exchanging, what I have heard called a Minnesota goodbye, which is the opposite of an Irish goodbye, right? If you know what an Irish goodbye is, it's a Klingon goodbye. You just leave. But a Minnesota goodbye is you take like an hour to say goodbye to your friend, right? Like this is what I'm used to. So breaking down this habit and getting into the habit of just like walking away, ending the call without saying anything, that's really hard for me. Now, some people will end it with Qapla. And Qapla is okay, but it means it doesn't mean what, you know, it doesn't mean goodbye. Much like, you know, nuknech doesn't mean hello. Qapla does not mean goodbye. Qapla means success. And it's okay to say as sort of like a way of ending a conversation, of walking away, almost goodbye, if you will, if and only if the person is going to go into a mission, right, or do something, has a task to fulfill, and you're actually wishing them success. Oh, I've got to go study for an exam. I'm really nervous about it. I really need to study. I really need to pass this thing. Oh, okay. Qapla, hang up. You're wishing them success, right? That's okay. That's an okay way to end a conversation with Qapla. What is not a good conversation is like you're talking to each other. Oh, well, I'm just going to go home, make some dinner, watch some TV, and then lie down and go to sleep. And like, oh, well, goodbye. Qapla, success. Have fun. I wish you success doing that, right? It's not something that requires any effort, right?
May you succeed in lounging around the rest of the night.
I'm sure it requires effort for somebody, but like
enjoy your social distancing.
Yeah, that's like a perfect evening, right? For me. So that's not a success situation.
Could you say something like Jirin or Marin? We are finished. I am finished.
Jirin means, yeah, I'm finished. I would not say that because Jirin is fine. For example, I've heard it before with people saying like if they're taking a test, and then you could say Jirin.
Okay, so it's more of an action being completed.
Yeah, and even
okay.
I really wouldn't say that myself, because when I hear Jirin, I'm like, oh no, I'm finished. I would say,
is there something that you could say that would mean we are done here?
Pick. Yeah, pick means done, finished. It's an exclamation. This cannot act as a verb or noun. It's just pick.
Oh, yeah, it's on my list. Done, all done, it's done, I finished.
Yep. Pick.
Okay.
So you could say that to end a conversation. And then the other one that I hear a lot, Jimej, which means
I leave. I go.
I leave, yeah, or I go. Jimej, I, right? We have this verb prefix and then mej, leave.
Would you say gach, jimej?
Yep. Gach, right? Everybody know this word? Gach
Now.
means now. Yeah. Gach jimej. And you could even add nish. Dach jimej nish. I need to study. Dach jimej nish. Yeah, now I need to go. I need to go now. Yeah. We're going to get into why this is, but just know that if you do use dach, I'm going to go ahead and just say it anyway because it's not that complicated. Adverbials, kind of like the dach nouns that we were talking about, right? Dach and vo. They come at the beginning of phrases, right? So dach, jimejnish. You could never say something like jimejnish dach, right? In English, you can say, I need to go now, or now I need to go, right? You can say either, it's interchangeable. But in Klingon, this is ungrammatical. What you could say is dach jimejnish, right? There's a whole order of some of these things. So, for example, an adverbial will come before a dach noun, right? So, I'm trying to think of an example phrase. Dach, dach, jiba. Now I sit, ba. Dach, which is the locative, touch, a bar, now. Now I sit in a bar. Now I'm sitting in a bar now.
I can remember bot because I sit on my bottom.
Yeah. but you could not say touchdock dachjiba, right? That's not grammatical. You would say dach touchdock jiba.
Yeah, there was a discussion of this in Chokhed, and they declared those things at the front to be header words and broke them down into the different categories.
Yeah. And the way that it works, and we'll go over this again, is it's a timestamp. Again, we're going to go over what that means, but it's just think of it as, time. So dashjaj, Monday, right? Or dach would not be one. Dach is an adverbial. I'm sorry?
Wahu.
Wahu, yesterday, right? You have a timestamp, an adverbial, location, and so on. So you would say, dashjaj on Monday, bach, honorably, pak, nujwit, kachdak, jihad. Monday, honorably, pach nujwit, kachdak, at the library. Pak is book, nujwit is lender, kach is building, dak is the locative, j is the verbal prefix, and chad is the verb, study. So I studied honorably at the library on Monday, right? Okay, we've gotten a little bit off track, but I'm trying to get back on. So
How do you
there's a way
study
to say goodbye.
honorably?
I'm sorry?
How do you study honorably?
I don't know.
The opposite of
Very
studying
attentive.
dishonorably.
Yeah,
Don't cheat.
Don't cheat.
Don't look at your
yeah,
fellow student's paper.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's the way you study honorably. I was looking for my phone so I could check the time. Let's see.
It's about 3 o'clock.
About 3.
Yep, in 1 hour.
All right, so let's start going through the verbs, or else we're not going to have time, and then we'll maybe come back around. And
Will we be going over our worksheet, or are those just for our personal benefit?
So yeah, those are for y'all. If you
Okay.
ever have any questions, though, if y'all want to send them in to me for me to check them, then by all means send them in, and I'll check them, and I'll say, oh, you got this, you didn't get that. I'll make comments. Yeah, but the whole point of this is not for y'all to get grades or whatever. It's to get y'all speaking. So whatever's helping y'all.
Do we have an email address or something to send them to you, or
Just the regular email address for the
just,
class.
okay? Do you use only one? Because I've got emails from you with 2 different names. I don't know if you changed the name or if those are different addresses.
No, I've just communicated with the one.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so chapter 4 is all about verbs, and we went through the first 3 sections of them for the homework. Let's see, Chiago, can you talk to me about verb prefixes? Just briefly, the summary of what prefixes in Klingon does.
Okay. The Klingon prefixes, they say exactly what are the subjects and what are the objects when there is a subject.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. That's very succinct. Thank you. Yeah.
Or if it's imperative or not. I forgot about it.
If it's what?
Imperative.
Yeah, or if it's an imperative. Although again, there it's the same thing, right? So whether it's indicative or it's imperative, it's going to be, it's still fulfilling the role of subject and object. But you're correct. There's a separate set for both indicative and for imperative. Yeah. Okay. So we're not going to go individually. What is the prefix for this? What is the prefix for that? I'm not going to do that. But what I will say is, the outside of this square in the book, of the chart, working in. So the outside is going to be the more common prefixes. Working in, those are going to be the ones that are going to be less common, right? So you're going to use j, which means
I mean,
right. It's I.
Or yeah, just I, not me, because that would be j.
No object. I know no object. Bit.
You.
You.
You. No object.
Singular.
You singular, right? You plural would be
Shu.
Shu. Yeah. No object. Let me correct that. So these are things you're going to use a lot. Ones with objects that you're going to use a lot are ve, ga, we,
Ka.
bo. Yeah.
Ka.
So I only have so much space. I'm here. We'll do this. There we go. Ha.
So,
Cho. Mu. Okay. So I think. Oh, and ge. Ge is a good one. So what does ve mean?
that is I acting upon it or him or her.
Yeah. He, her,
Or them.
or them.
Oh.
Right. Yeah.
I always forget that. Yeah.
What is da?
Da
You do
is the
something
same, but
to
with
her.
you as the subject.
Okay, wait, tell me
And
what the object is?
Same as last one.
Also, he,
Same as the last one. I have a fancy French keyboard that wants me to use these. So there we go. So just we have guillemets for now. Okay, where?
we.
we.
Yeah, this is an
We
easy one to remember, right? Because it's almost it sounds similar, right? Where, and what does it mean?
He, her, and it, but not them.
Right, exactly. So he, her, it, but not them. That them is covered by which one of these prefixes that's left?
Good.
Ge, right. Them. Maybe tell me, Tiago, can you tell me what cho is?
Cho is oh my god, again. Cho is you do something to me.
Yeah, you do something to me.
No.
Khebo, what's mu? Mu.
It's when something's done to me. So when you, he, they do something to me.
Mm-hmm. He, she, it, they does something to me. So mouler, they see me. Mouler, right? Rightlet, what is ka?
I do something to you.
Right, exact opposite. I do something to you. And Dokval, can you tell me what bo is?
I would have to look it up.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
not a
remember.
common
That,
one for
that's
me.
the one of those I couldn't have told you, and of course you picked me for that.
Y'all to third person.
Y'all to third person. Yep.
Okay.
There you go. That's it. So these are if you know these, you're going to be able to read a lot of text because these are the ones that principally get used. And there are other weird ones that you'll come across in longer texts or from time to time. So Tushov, y'all know me, right? Tushov, y'all know me. But this is not something you're going to use most of the time. So what I recommend is that you just take the time to learn those prefixes that we just went over. And then from then on, work inward, right? Go in towards the chart rather than trying to tackle them all at the same time. And just say to yourself, jilij, I forget. Just say to yourself during the day, jilij. If you see somebody running, you could say jiket or ket, right? The null suffix, the null prefix, right? So when it's a third person, is the best thing in Klingon, right? Because it's just
Except
like
for
ket, it can be
one stupid case that I always forget.
Which one is
Lou.
that? Which one are you talking about?
The Lou for he, she, it, or they acting upon him,
Oh.
her, or it.
Yeah.
Or no, just they acting on him,
on
her,
a
or
singular.
it.
Yeah, on a singular third.
That messes me up all the time.
That's okay.
I'm so used to third person having nothing.
That's okay. Most people forget to put it on, and in fact, it's in the Klingon for the Galactic Traveler, it's noted that even Klingons don't do that, right? So it's okay. If you say Romulushan ler Teratnan, then and you mean
So
that
it's still
the
understood,
Romulan plural,
even
then
though
it's
it's not
okay.
Lulad.
You don't say, or if you mean that this is singular, then it's okay. It's not the end of the world, you know.
Okay. I found it useful to reorder the chart so that I have everything grouped by person. So I've got the first person together. So the first line is I, the second line is we. Then I have all the second persons, you singular, you plural, imperative you singular, imperative you plural,
Whatever
and then down at the
floats
bottom, third person.
whatever floats your boat. Personally, and I think I'm the only person for whom this is the case, I am totally okay with the chart as it is in the book.
I can see the patterns better when they're grouped that way.
And that's totally okay. I personally like the one in the book, but I think a lot of people don't. And so if there's a chart, there are lots of charts out there. And so if there's a chart that really you just jive with a lot better, go ahead and use that chart. You know, it's all about like learning what works for you, you know. And then eventually, as you use the prefixes more, you're going to think about them less and less, right?
Yeah.
The only pair that I really have to think about now is re-che, which are two of the ones that I think come up the least often. And I always have to think of the line from Merchant of Venice, right? If you cut us, do we not bleed? Right? So it's y'all to us, right? So those are the two ones that even for me, I'm like, I got to think about it for a second before I say che. I don't want to mix them up, you know. Okay. Then imperative. I'm going to keep us moving along because, yeah.
I just want to say that actually the chat is a brilliant opportunity to learn the sha and tu, because when I'm speaking to y'all, and then I can ask something if you see me or understand me, you all me. So actually the chat is great to train these two.
Yeah. Sha is a great one. That was one of the first ones that I picked up too. So yeah, for sure. Cool. So the imperative, the one that you really need to know is ye, right? This is the imperative. So again, as Thiago rightfully pointed out, we just went over some of the ones that you use for the indicative. So this is something that is happening. Ye, right, is an example of an imperative suffix, which is all about, you know, you want it to happen. You command that it happens. So ye yet is walk, right? Or wat ye hoch, kill one, jeshachbet. I don't care which one, right? So this is an example of it. And the reason why it's so useful is because it can mean three different things. It can mean you no object. It can mean you do it to some him, her, it, right? So yekip or yehoch, right? Kill him, her, it. Or it could mean you plural do something to he, her, it, right? So y'all kill them, right? Y'all kill him, her, it, whatever. So that's the one you really need to know. Now there are other ones, of course. Pe is when it's a plural subject and there's no object, right? So pilad,
And
y'all read, okay?
that's right? Annoying because that's the only one where the plural is different from the singular.
And this is one where, again, I believe it's pointed out in Klingon for the Galactic Traveler, but I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, that it's something that Klingons do as well, that they instead of saying pe, they say ye, right? when they, but it's understood what they mean, especially if they're talking to a group of people.
That's another actor flub.
Right. So you have other ones like te, which means you do something to them. So pak tilad, right? Read the books. So on and so forth. Ro krach, help us. Right? So on and so forth. We're not going to get into all of them. But ye is the one that y'all need to know. So learn that one. If you don't know it already. So there are lots of verb prefixes and suffixes, excuse me. moHaqmey, right? That's the word for suffixes. There are lots of suffixes. We're not going to go over all of them because there's lots of them.
We don't have all day.
We could spend easily 30 minutes talking about each of them, or at least talking about each verb type. But the ones that I really want to talk to you about are the type, we'll say type 3, type 4, type 5, and then the verb. Those are the ones that I think we should really talk about. So type 3, can anybody tell me what that one is without looking at the book?
Well, it's right in front of me, so I can't.
Well, how about somebody that doesn't have the book right in front of them or is not looking directly at the book?
It's actually on my window in my booth the whole time I'm at work.
Qapla, can you tell me about type 3? Verb suffixes? Actually, it's just one in type 3, right? Or is it? No, there's two of them. Excuse me, I misspoke.
Something that changes.
I'm sorry?
Changes.
Yeah, right. Changes in state. Whoa, where did the thing go? Why can't I really hate this presenter thing. There we go. Oh my gosh. There we go. So, choch. What's the second one?
Ha.
Ha. Yeah, ha. So choch means to start out, begin, start. Right?
Yeah, that confused me at first because the book just said change, and I assumed that it could be like a change in either direction. Then I found out, no, for a change from something, you have to have ha, undo. So I changed it on my chart to change to.
That's I think a good way to say it is begin, right? I think that's a good way to think of it. So can anybody tell me what the word for run is? I've said it a couple of times already. Pet. Pet. Yeah, pet. What's the verbal prefix for I, no subject?
J.
J. So pet is I run. Jekat choch is
I begin to run.
I begin to run. Yes, absolutely. So that's basically what it means. It just means to begin to do something, to start doing something. The examples I think the book gives is madokchoch. We're becoming lucky, right? Which means, you know, we're having a bit of luck, right? Ka. Dokval, can you tell me what ka is without looking at the dictionary?
To resume or to start over again.
Yeah, resume, start over. Yeah.
That's
So-
another one that confused me because the book originally just said resume, and Duolingo was using it to mean do again. And my translations were getting marked as wrong because I didn't know about the start over meaning.
Yeah, it can mean either. So it's jekat ka means I begin to run again, or it can mean I run all over again, right? Yeah, okay. These are the two type 3s that I think it's really important for y'all to know. So go ahead and this week try to commit these to memory. I'll maybe make another worksheet where y'all can practice these. Let me write that down, type 3. All right, type 4, right lit. Can you tell me about type 4 verb suffixes?
Moch. which
Yeah.
means to.
Is there another one?
No, that's it.
That's it.
To create. It's not to create, but to cause to happen.
Right. Exactly. Cause to happen. Okay, and we're not going to get into. I wanted to maybe get us into stative verbs today, but I don't think we have the time. But this is really useful for stative verbs. You know what? We're going to do it. We're going to talk about stative verbs. So stative verbs. Anybody tell me what the heck these are? Qapla. Can you tell me what stative verbs are?
Was it in a dictionary? I don't.
No, I'm just curious if you know.
The,
I mean, it is in the dictionary, but we didn't cover it for today.
sorry.
It's okay. Much Bishop bet. Okay, cool. That's why we're taking the class.
It expresses a state rather than an action.
Exactly. We have this word state, right? So it's a state of things. Stative verbs. So it kind of is an action, but you know, it's a state of things, right? So an example of this would be the word that we just used, right? Do. Do means
Be lucky.
yeah, be lucky, be fortunate, right? Do. So you wouldn't say do jich, right? Because it's a verb. You'd say jido or jido jich, right? I am lucky, right? But you would mostly just say jido, I'm lucky. And somebody who is getting to Klingon might not understand this, and they would think that it's an adjective, right? But Klingon does not have adjectives. Klingon has stative verbs. And they can kind of act like adjectives when they're applied to nouns. So where this happens is, let's say we have this word load, which means man, right? Load jich, I am a man. Rightly, can you tell me what the Klingon word for tall is?
I couldn't do it without looking up.
Can anybody tell me? No?
Team?
What? Watch?
Yeah. Watch. Good. So to say I am a tall man, right? To say I am tall, so watch is be tall, right? So it's a verb. Je watch is I am tall. Lod watch jich, I am a tall man. And what's going on here is this stative verb is basically is sort of functioning as we might expect an adjective to. It is describing the noun, right? And when this happens, the stative verb is always going to come after the noun that it describes. Okay? Like in many another language where the typical way that an adjective works is that it comes after a noun, right? In English, it tends to be at the beginning, not always, but in a lot of other languages, it comes after the noun, not always, right? And that's just something you have to get used to if you're not used to speaking a language that does that. So, Lod watch jich, shuvwit pop jich, right? I am a skilled warrior. So pop means to be skilled, right? And when it's put onto shuvwit, it means skilled warrior, right? But to say that the warrior is skilled, you would reverse that. Pop shuvwit is skilled, the warrior is skilled, right? So where this comes in handy with moch, getting back to moch, is if you put moch onto something, you can, you can make these stative verbs into transitive verbs, which is what moch does. It takes something that's normally intransitive and turns it into a transitive verb. So it makes something that doesn't typically have an object. So, v'gokmoch. So ploit means ball. Ve is that verbal prefix again, right? Gok. Anybody know? It's a stative verb.
Be red.
Red or
Be red.
Be
Be
red.
warm colored.
I'm sorry?
Be warm colored.
Yeah, be warm colored, yeah. And then moch, which is this causation suffix. So the translation of this would be,
I paint the wall red.
yeah, I paint the wall red, I redden the wall, whatever. However you want to translate that. Yeah. Cool. Does that make sense?
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Then can you use moch on non-transitive, non-stative verbs?
Yes, yeah. So example, load the ket moch.
Right.
Make the man run, or make the men run. Right? Book der Verpoefmoch. I make the birds fly. We're gonna move on. Yeah, because we're running out of time. All right, type 5. We're not gonna go over we're not gonna go over loop
Good.
because it's
That's
we're gonna
my
save
least
that for another
favorite
time.
topic.
But basically what it means is unknown,
Indefinite subject.
unknown, indefinite, whatever. Indefinite is better, so indefinite. I'm not gonna write it down, but indefinite is a better way of saying it, and that's what it's written in the book. But we're gonna talk about lach, because you can get by without saying lu, but you should know how to say lach, and what lach means is
Able to do?
able, can, you know.
I am constantly mixing that up with tach and mistranslating because of it.
Where do you get these mixed up?
Well, I'll read lach and think, oh, continuously. Or I'll read tach and think, able to.
I see. Yeah. No, this is not the continuous suffix. This is able.
My brain just mixes lach and tach.
Yeah, just definitely just get into the habit of using it, and I'll try to include some lach phrases on the worksheet. So in English, this is a separate word. You know, I can run, but in Klingon, I run can. Right? This is coming on the verb after the root. So the root is run, which is ket. So can run.
Lach.
Ketlach. So he, she, it can run. He, she, it, they can run. Ketlach. And that's it. That's it. Jijachlach. Right?
I can speak.
Yeah. Lach.
Ah.
Klingon hol v'yaj lach. I can
understand Klingon.
I can. V'yaj lach. V'yaj lach. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that? Pretty straightforward thing. Yep.
I have a question about lo, which I had really difficulties with grasping. I didn't practice it before today, rather, and especially because you have to. It requires another construction, but can you just use the vi instead of lo, like
yes, but yes, but it means something different. Yeah. An indefinite subject. We're going to go over this at a different time because I think it requires a lot more time than we're going to be able to give it today. But so you have this thing, vilerlu. I am seen by an indefinite subject. People say it's a passive. It's not really a passive, but it kind of.
It could just as easily be translated as something or other sees me.
it's translated as passive, yeah. But then you have this thing, mulher vai, somebody, someone sees me, which is more definite than this one. That makes sense. For the moment, that's a really good solution for avoiding using loop if you're not comfortable using it. Yeah, vai.
I'll never be comfortable with that.
If y'all are exactly in that situation and you don't really know how to use it, if y'all don't know, the word for someone, something in Klingon is this. Vai. Vai. Qapla. You want to say that?
Vai.
Yeah, Maj. Yotar.
Vai.
Right lit.
Ilech vai.
Maj. Khabo.
Vai.
Lotwal.
Vai.
Chiago.
Vai.
Maj. Cool. Okay. Real quick, we are going to cover what are known as the Languitme, the travelers or
Rovers.
rovers. Yeah. There are a couple of these. The most important of which, I think, is bat, which means
Not.
It's negation.
yeah, it's a negation. It means not, negation. Yaj, which means understand. Yaj bet. Mean he, she, it, they don't understand. Yaj bet, you don't understand. Shu yaj bet, y'all don't understand. Ji yaj bet, I don't understand. Etc. Hu yaj bet, y'all don't understand me. Right?
But you do not use it on the imperatives.
No. There's a different one for that. We'll be getting to that in, right now. So, this is also negation, but it means
More of a don't.
Or won't, right? Now, bet you can't really use on imperatives, but you can use ko on indicative or imperatives, but it means something a little bit different. So when you say it, when you use it on imperative phrases, so we have the word walk, right? What's the word for walk again? Can anybody tell me?
Yit.
Yes. Yeah. That way I say don't walk.
Yeah.
If you're just saying it, yit bet. Or-
Right?
Yit ko.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yit ko.
or-
Don't walk, right? Right lit, since you got it, how would you say, I refuse to walk. I won't walk.
Jiyit ko.
There we go. Jiyit ko, right? But just to say, I don't walk, a statement that I am not walking, you would say.
Jiyit bet.
Right, jiyit bet, right? This is somebody says, yit. And you say, jiyit ko. I refuse. I won't do it, right? I'm not going to do it. It's there's this idea of volition, right? Cool. And then you could also just say this all on its own. Ko.
No.
I won't. Right? I won't do it is what it means, right? Or it can also mean an imperative, right? Don't, right? Somebody's gonna, I don't know, somebody really wants to
Shoot the
walk and
prisoner.
you see a car coming and you want to tell them to stop. You say, don't, right? That can be a word all on its own. Ha. This one, this suffix is a little hard for some people to get their heads around because it can kind of mean one of two things. It can mean miss or un, right? Which are two different prefixes in English, but here it's a single suffix. So it can lead to words such as yajha. I misunderstood him. I misinterpreted him or her or them, right? Or, you know, you could have words like,
Jiwuk. I got a headache, and jiwuk ha. My headache went away.
yeah, exactly. So that's a perfect example. So, so here you're not having a headache, right? You're not having a headache incorrectly.
You're undoing the state of having a headache.
There's an undoing happening. There's an unraveling of what has already occurred. Yeah. So you can have, so again, so it's just a question of feeling it out, knowing the canon, understanding like when ha means miss, right? Do something, incorrectly do something, versus undo something. The ha could either mean misbuild, or it can mean
Disassemble.
La means to disassemble. So if you're going to do that, you should probably say lav. But if you're going to say, you could say mukha to say disassemble, but it's an option. Tiago, I think I saw you raise your hand. Or are you just stretching?
No, sorry, just stretching.
Oh.
Everything okay.
Does anybody have any questions on ha? I don't want to rush through.
I have.
Yeah, go for it.
I think it was in the video that you attached. Nuktak wakwij vilam khat chokhmoch. Where can I get my shoe cleaned?
Yeah.
But do I have to? Well, can you just say vishay mochlach instead of vishlam khat chokhmoch? And why is the choch there?
Yeah. So
the sentence will be very like.
You can say shaitmoch. This is just a thing of where this is an example of like there are more than one ways to say something, right? Just as in Swedish or Polish or English, there's more than one way to say something, right? Where can I get my shoes cleaned, right? But you could just as easily ask, can you show me the shoe cleaner, right? So it's just two different ways of asking for the same information that sort of bring the focus onto different parts. I'm going to try to do this really quickly because we're over time already, but right? So it looks like a really long word, but now you know all of the parts on this, right? Right? So I to it, lam is a state of verb. Lam is a state of verb meaning to be dirty.
Be dirty.
Ha is
undo.
And there's something that I should probably say before we leave about ha and ko. These are both considered rovers, right? But unlike bet and ku and another rover that I'm not thinking of right now, unlike bet and ku, these ones can really only come at one point in the verb. So ha is always going to come directly after the root. So in here it's lam ha, right? Undirty. It would never come here. No, that's incorrect. This is correct. And ko is also kind of similar. Ko, though, is going to come at the very end, right? It's always going to come at the very end.
Isn't it before the type 9 syntactic markers?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But since we haven't discussed those in this level,
all right.
They don't come, I was going to amend it in future, but they don't come after type 9 suffixes. That's the rule. I know that that's a lot of information, but so your yep choch ko. Don't get careful, whatever that means. But it's an example, right? So don't get careful. You wouldn't say yep ko choch. Wrong. You would say yep choch ko. Makes some sense. And then choch is just there because it's a change of state. You don't need to include that because the moch kind of already makes it clear that there is something being caused, right, onto the object, right? It's taken in a subject, so there's obviously an action happening. So you don't need to use choch.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was wondering.
It just means that there's a change of state. Yeah. Then ku, emphatic. There you go. So jijash ku, I talk a lot, which is true. Jijash ku, I talk a lot. Or I talk, I talk, right? You're driving a lot. It doesn't necessarily translate to a lot.
Yeah, it could be very, he is very brave.
He's very brave. I can really read it. Like, I'm really good at reading. Or I could say, I'm skilled at, this is a way of saying I'm skilled at reading, although there's another way to say that. I'm not going to present it now because then I'd have to explain a bunch of other.
So that one you might translate as I read well, or I can read well.
Yeah. That would be a way to translate it. Okay. We're going to stop there for today. I talked at y'all for a very long time, and I apologize for that.
You don't apologize.
But I just want to, I just wanted to point out a lot of different things, and they're all a little bit boring grammar bits. Hopefully, as we sort of work our way through the basic grammar, we'll get into more like actually speaking Klingon than just, this is how the grammar works and blah, 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 blah. That's all important. But I understand that it can get a little bit dull. Does anybody have any questions before we part? Homework I will send to y'all via email. But if y'all have any last minute grammar questions, or if I can provide you with any answers to pressing questions that you had. Oh, yes.
Sorry to bother you again with the same sentence, but I wrote it down before the lesson, and it was this nukdak wakwage vilam chochmoch, which I was wondering if I could rephrase the nukdak wakwage vishai moch lach, because the first option didn't have the lach. Where am I able to clean my shoes? Is it as correct or not? Nukdak wakwage vishai moch lach.
So the thing about lach the thing about can in the English translation is really, there's not really a can about it. You can clean your shoes wherever, right? Lach is really about ability to do something. So you can clean your shoes, somebody can clean your shoes wherever. But the idea is there's a specific place where you can get your shoes cleaned, right? So the Klingon, what you're really asking is, where do I get my shoes cleaned, right? If that makes any sense. And this would be the same thing, if you're looking to get your car repaired. Where is my car repaired? Where can my car be repaired by an indefinite subject? Again, we're going to get into later, but
Oh, I see your calendar. You're a lot younger than most of us original series fans. How did you get into the original series?
Just last year, before, or no, what was it, 2 years ago maybe. I grew up on TNG, and then I came back to Star Trek because of Discovery, which brought my love back. And then I felt that I have to watch everything else, so I started with the original series, and I love the original series. And now I'm watching Deep Space Nine. I'm on season 3. I haven't seen more. I haven't seen Voyager, Enterprise yet. I have seen the Picard series, of course, and Discovery. Yeah.
Back in the 70s, a local station showed the original Star Trek every weekday at 5 o'clock, and I was firmly in front of my 12-inch black and white TV every day, watching them over and over. I can quote so much dialogue from the original series. I know all the episode titles. That's still my series because I'm a geezer.
I was watching them when they first came on.
I missed that. I was 7 when the series went off the air. So I didn't see it until it went into syndication.
Whippersnapper.
Yeah, yeah. So
I was 10 when about 10 when I was watching The Next Generation every weekday, and I think it was 6 or 5. I don't remember. I think 6 on Sky One. We had the cable, and it's exactly how I practiced and learned English, basically.
Next Generation premiered the year I got married. Anyone else want to share their love of Star Trek stories?
I'm still catching up.
I
I
think
got so many I have to watch.
I think I was born halfway through Voyager.
Yeah, I was buying all of the paperback books as they came out for about 10 years or so. I have a rather massive collection. Then it started getting too expensive because in addition to books for all 4 series, they were coming out with books about entirely new characters, and so many more hardbacks were coming out. But I got everything up until probably about 1990.
Trivia question. Where did the theme for Enterprise where was it first heard?
Just show that. Where?
Closing credits for Patch Adams.
That.
Ugh. I never liked that theme.
What's
It works.
Patch
It
Adams?
works for Patch Adams. It doesn't necessarily work for this. So I had to write a mating dirge based on my dislike of that particular song. So.
Yeah, and they didn't
Which
even call it Star Trek Enterprise at first. They were trying to appeal to a mass audience, which is why it got that funky theme and.
So
Right.
Deshdu, I'm trying to get that translated for if and when we have a talent portion for Qapla.
Yeah. If y'all have not been following the Qapla because of the Miv'at Javtim, which is the Klingon translation for the coronavirus, Miv'at Javtim, has been, it's not canceled. However, we will not be meeting in person. We will be meeting online, much in the same way that we're meeting right now. The details of that are still coming out. I'm a little disappointed. I think that there are positive notes to it. For example, I think we're going to have a lot of European participants. There's a large community of Klingon speakers in Europe, and we don't often intermingle, so it'll be nice. But obviously, this is the way that we communicate with one another throughout most of the year, anyway. So it's a little bit of a gut punch to know that we can't meet this year. It's understandable, but definitely disappointing. Yeah, I don't know how the talent show is gonna turn out, but don't know.
Does anybody know if it's still possible to sign up for a Qapla because it's virtual? So now I can attend it if there are places. I wouldn't be able to just go to the US, but
I think I don't know if they're going to reduce the price since now we don't have to pay for a hotel. I already registered, so but I don't know. I would say wait and see what the price is, because right now you'll be paying. That you're paying the hotel registration or the registration fee normally. But I would say wait and see a little bit, and then see if the price reduces. And if it doesn't, I'd say it's still worth the price tag.
And when is it exactly?
July 23rd to July 25th.
Great. I'm off work then. I have my vacation.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna end the recording, and I gotta get ready because I got an Esperanto class right after this one. So,
Good night, Jeff.